The sky above Earth burned with 1,000 dying lights. Each light was a defense satellite, a weapons platform, or a brave ship that had tried to hold the line. Now they were just debris falling through the atmosphere like metal rain. Captain Minu stood on the bridge of the Defiant Hope and watched his world die. The massive showed Earth below, beautiful and blue, surrounded by the enemy. The Devourers had come 3 months ago. Now, 70% of humanity's colonies were gone, just gone, consumed by the crystalline monsters that ate entire worlds. "Sir, we've lost the Luna defense grid," said from his tactical station. The young officer's voice was steady, but Minu could see his hands shaking. Had lost his parents and 2 sisters when New Sol Colony fell. He was 23 years old and had aged a decade in 3 months. Minu nodded slowly. "How many ships do we have left?" 47 combat-capable vessels, sir. The Devourers have over 300. 47 ships. That was all that remained of Earth's defense fleet. They had started with 800. The math was simple and terrible. They would lose. Climbed up from the engineering deck, her uniform covered in grease and burn marks. "I've got the main guns back online," she said, wiping sweat from her forehead. "But the power core is failing. We have maybe 6 more hours before everything shuts down." 6 hours, Minu repeated. He looked at his crew. Young faces, old faces, brave faces, scared faces. They all knew the truth. They were going to die here. Earth was going to fall. Humanity was going to end. But they would fight anyway. "All ships, this is Captain Minu of the Defiant Hope," he said into the fleet-wide channel. "We all know how this ends. The Galactic Council abandoned us. They called us too primitive to save. They said we weren't worth their time." He paused, letting the anger fill his voice. "But we are still here. We are still fighting, and when we fall together. We fall as humans. We fall as warriors. Make them remember us." The responses came back one by one. 47 ships, 47 captains, all saying the same thing. They would fight to the last. The Devourers moved closer. Although their ships looked like massive crystals of black glass, reflecting starlight in strange patterns, they were beautiful and terrible. Each one was the size of a city. They didn't use weapons like humans did. They simply absorbed everything they touched. Metal, rock, flesh, it didn't matter. The Devourers consumed it all. "They're forming an assault pattern," said. "Target is Sydney." Minu's stomach dropped. "Sydney, 15 million people. All ships move to intercept. We stop them or we die trying." The Defiant Hope surged forward, her engines screaming. Around her, the last fleet of humanity followed. They were insects attacking giants, but they attacked anyway. Then something changed. "Sir," shouted. "New contacts, 3 ships, unknown design coming from the outer system." Minu's eyes snapped to the screen. 3 vessels appeared, massive things that made even the Devourer ships look small. They were strange, built with curves and angles that didn't match any known species. They glowed with a soft purple light. "Are they more Devourers?" asked fear in her voice. "No," said, his fingers flying over his console. "Different energy signature, different everything, sir. They're broadcasting on all frequencies." "Put it through," Minu ordered. Static filled the bridge, then a voice. It was deep and layered, like multiple people speaking at once, but the words were clear, translated somehow into perfect English. "Humans of Earth, we are the Wanderers. We have traveled far. We have seen your struggle. We have seen your courage." The voice paused. "We remember what it means to face the Devourers alone. We remember the fear. We remember the desperation." Minu's heart pounded. "This is Captain Minu of Earth Defense Fleet. Who are you? Why are you here?" "We are the ones who survived," the voice said. 10,000 years ago, the Devourers came to our worlds. We ran, we fled. We watched our people die. We are all that remains of the Wanderers. 3 ships, 3,000 souls. We have been running for 10,000 years. The 3 massive ships moved into formation with the human fleet. Minu could see them clearly now. They were ancient and powerful, covered in scars from countless battles. "You don't have to do this," Minyu said. "This isn't your fight." "You are wrong," the voice replied. "We have watched humanity for 300 years. We have seen your art, your music, your stubborn refusal to accept defeat. We see in you what we once were. We see courage we thought was lost." The ships moved forward toward the Devourers. "We are tired of running, Captain Minyu. We are tired of being afraid. Today we stand with humanity. Today we fight back." On the three Wanderer ships opened fire. Purple light shot across space, hitting the Devourer vessels with incredible force. The crystalline ships shattered, pieces flying in all directions. Minyu stood frozen, watching impossible things happen. The Wanderers tore through the Devourer formation like knives through paper. Weapons humanity had never imagined. Shields that turned away the Devourer's absorption fields, technology from another age. "All ships," Minyu said, his voice filled with something he hadn't felt in months. "Hope. All ships, follow them in. We've got a chance. We've actually got a chance." The defiant Hope charged forward, her guns blazing. Around her, 47 ships roared into battle, and beside them, 3 ancient vessels from beyond the stars, crewed by strangers who had chosen to stop running. The battle for Earth had begun, and for the first time, humanity wasn't fighting alone. The Devourer ships retreated. For the first time in 3 months, the crystalline monsters backed away from Earth. Minyu watched them go, hardly believing what he was seeing. The 3 Wanderer vessels held position between Earth and the enemy, like ancient guardians made real. "Sir, we're receiving a direct communication request from the lead Wanderer ship," said. His young face showed wonder and confusion. "They want to meet face to face, on their ship." Minyu looked at. She shrugged, a tired smile on her face. "Well, they just saved our lives. Least we can do is say thank you in person." 2 hours later, Minyu found himself in a shuttle heading toward the largest Wanderer vessel. Sat beside him, along with 3 other officers. The shuttle bay doors opened, and they flew into a massive chamber that seemed to go on forever. The walls glowed with that same purple light, soft and warm. When the shuttle landed, the doors opened to reveal their hosts. The Wanderers were humanoid but different. Taller than humans, with skin that seemed to shimmer between blue and silver. Their eyes were large and completely black, like pools of deep space. They wore simple robes covered in symbols that seemed to move and change. One stepped forward. "I am called Elder by my people," the Wanderer said, speaking through a translation device that floated near his chest. "Welcome aboard the Eternal Dawn." Minyu saluted, then offered his hand. The Elder looked at it for a moment, then grasped it firmly. His hand was warm, which surprised Minyu somehow. "Why?" Minyu asked, because it was the only question that mattered. "Why did you help us? You said you've been running for 10,000 years. Why stop now?" The Elder led them through corridors of purple light to a large chamber. Inside, holographic images filled the air. Minyu saw worlds burning, ships fleeing, people dying. The history of the Wanderers, displayed for humans to see. "We were once a great civilization," the Elder said. 200 worlds, 5 trillion souls. We had art, science, dreams. Then the Devourers came. In 10 years they consumed everything. We ran with only 3 ships and 3,000 survivors." Stepped closer to the images. "How did you escape?" "Luck, cowardice, speed." The Elder touched one of the holograms and it changed. Now it showed human cities, human ships, human art. "For 10,000 years we searched for a new home. We found many species. Some were strong but cruel. Some were kind but weak. None felt right. Then we found humanity." The images showed Earth from space, human colonies, children playing, soldiers training, scientists working. "You are young," the Elder continued. "Your technology is primitive, your weapons are simple. By all logic, you should have fallen in the first week. But you didn't, you fought, you adapted, you refused to surrender." He turned to face Minyu directly. You reminded us of what we used to be before we became afraid. Spoke up, his voice uncertain. So you're helping us because we remind you of yourselves. We are helping you because it is right, the elder said simply. We ran because we were afraid. We watched dozens of species fall because we were afraid, but watching you fight, watching you stand against impossible odds with such courage, it made us ashamed. We have the power to fight back. We have the knowledge. We have the weapons. We just didn't have the courage anymore. Until now, Minyu said. Until now, the elder agreed. You gave us back something we thought we lost: hope, purpose, the will to fight. The elder waved his hand and a tactical display appeared. It showed the devourers their positions, their numbers. There are 300 of their ships in your system. More will come. If we fight them with current tactics, we will lose. But if we combine our knowledge with your creativity, we might have a chance. Study the display. You have better shields, better weapons, better everything. What could we possibly offer you? Flexibility, the elder said. We wanderers are ancient and set in our ways. We fight as we have always fought. But you humans, you adapt, you create. You do impossible things because you don't know they're impossible. We have watched you turn mining equipment into weapons, cargo ships into carriers, children's toys into communication devices. You see solutions where we see only problems. He pulled up another display showing both human and wanderer ship designs. Alone, we cannot win. Together, we might. We offer you our technology, our knowledge, our strength. You offer us your creativity, your courage, your stubborn refusal to die quietly. Minyu felt tears in his eyes. 3 months ago, the Galactic Council had abandoned humanity. They had called them primitive, not worth saving. But these strangers, these ancient refugees, were offering everything. What do you need from us? Minyu asked. Everything, the elder said. Your engineers to work with ours, your soldiers to train with ours, your leaders to plan with ours. We must become one force, one fleet, one purpose. The devourers will return in strength. When they do, we must be ready. Stepped forward. Our ship, the Defiant Hope, is dying. The power core is failing. Can you help? We can do better than help, the elder said. We can rebuild. Human ships powered by Wanderer technology. Wanderer shields protecting human hulls. We will forge new weapons together, weapons the devourers have never seen. How long do we have? Asked. 3 days, perhaps 4. Then they will attack with everything they have. The elder looked at each human in turn. I will not lie to you. Even working together, our chances are small. Many will die. Perhaps all will die, but we will die fighting. We will die with honor, and perhaps, just perhaps, we will win. Minyu thought about Earth below, about the 15 million people in Sydney who were still alive because of these strangers. He thought about all the colonies that had fallen, all the friends he had lost, all the reasons to be afraid. Then he thought about 47 human ships charging into battle against 300 enemy vessels, because it was the right thing to do. He saluted the elder again. Then we fight together, human and wanderer side by side. We show the devourers what happens when they attack Earth. We show them what happens when they make humanity angry. The elder returned the salute, copying the human gesture. Yes, we fight together, and when the songs are sung of this battle, they will sing of courage. They will sing of sacrifice. They will sing of the day 2 species became one. Minyu smiled. It was the first real smile he'd had in months. Let's get to work. We have a lot to do and not much time to do it. As the humans returned to their shuttle, the elder watched them go. One of his advisors approached, speaking in their own language. Elder, are you certain? We could still run. We could survive. No, the elder said quietly. We stopped surviving 10,000 years ago. We just didn't realize it until now. These humans, they live. They truly live. And I am tired of merely surviving. The shuttle flew back toward the Defiant Hope, carrying people who had entered as desperate survivors and left as allies of an ancient race. Behind them, The eternal dawn glowed with purpose renewed. 3 days passed like 3 heartbeats. The defiant hope looked different now. Wanderer engineers had rebuilt her power core, installed new shields, upgraded her weapons. But she still looked like a human ship, rough and practical, held together with human determination and Wanderer miracles. Stood in the new engine room, watching purple energy flow through systems that had been dead 3 days ago. A Wanderer engineer named worked beside her, their 4 hands moving in perfect coordination. They didn't share a language beyond the translators, but they understood each other perfectly. Engineers always did. "The power flow is stable," said their voice like musical chimes. "Your ship will survive the battle, maybe." Laughed, "Maybe is better than definitely not. I'll take it." On the bridge, Minyu studied the tactical display with the elder and commander of the Marine Corps. Was a career soldier, 40 years old, with scars on his face and steel in his eyes. He had fought in every major battle of the war and lost most of his unit. "The Devourer hiveship is here," Minyu said, pointing to a massive signature in orbit. "It's their command vessel. If we destroy it, the rest might scatter." "Might," the elder said, "or they might go into a feeding frenzy and consume everything faster." Grinned. It wasn't a nice grin. "Either way, it dies. My Marines are ready. We've been training with your warriors. We know the plan." The plan was insane. A joint boarding party of humans and wanderers would assault the hiveship directly while the fleet kept the other Devourer vessels busy. They would fight their way to the core and plant a massive explosive device, then escape before it detonated. Simple, direct, and almost certainly fatal. "I have a daughter," said suddenly. "She's 6 years old. She's in the bunkers under Tokyo right now, probably scared out of her mind." He looked at the elder. "Your people have children on those ships." "Yes," the elder said. 300 younglings. They have never known a home. They have only known running and fear." "Then we give them something better," said. "We give them victory. We give them a future." Across the fleet, similar scenes played out. In medical bays, Doctor worked with Wanderer healers, learning each other's medicine. She was young, only 28, but she had kept more people alive than seemed possible. Now she taught the Wanderers about human biology while they showed her their techniques. "Your species heals fast," one Wanderer healer observed. "Your bodies fight damage aggressively." "We're stubborn that way," said smiling. "We don't like dying." In the fighter bay, sat in the cockpit of a new ship. It was a hybrid human design married to Wanderer technology. It looked strange, all angles and curves that shouldn't work together but did. He was 25 years old and had been flying since he was 16. He was the best pilot in the fleet, and he knew it. "This is weird," he said over the comm to his wingman, a Wanderer pilot named. "Weird but effective," replied. "Your ships are fast and aggressive. Our technology makes them faster and more aggressive." "I like the sound of that," said, running his hands over the controls. They felt right, like the ship was part of him. Then the alarm sounded. "They're here," announced from Tactical. 374 Devourer vessels, incoming from multiple vectors. Minyu stood. "All ships battle stations. This is it. Today we fight for Earth. Today we fight for humanity. Today we show the universe what we're made of." He paused. "And today we fight with friends, with family, with the Wanderers who chose to stand with us when no one else would." The elder's voice came over all channels, human and Wanderer alike. "For 10,000 years we ran from this enemy. Today we run no more. Today we make our stand. Today we honor the memory of all who fell to the Devourers. Fight well, warriors of two worlds. Fight with courage. Fight with hope." The Devourer fleet hit them like a black wave of crystalline death. The space around Earth filled with energy blasts, shield impacts, and the screams of dying ships. But this time, humanity wasn't alone. Dove his hybrid fighter into the thick of battle on his wing. They moved like dancers, weaving between Devourer ships, their weapons tearing chunks from the crystalline hulls. When three enemy fighters locked onto, destroyed them with shots that seemed to bend through space. "Nice shooting," shouted. "Nice flying," replied. "Do that again." On the Defiant Hope kept the power flowing while explosions rocked the ship. Beside her worked just as frantically, their hands moving faster than human eyes could follow. When a power conduit exploded, threw themselves in front of taking the blast. They fell, badly burned. No, dragged to safety and called for, "Medic, we need a medic now." Arrived in seconds, her hands already moving. "I've got them. Keep those engines running, we need power for the boarding team." The boarding team was already launching. 50 humans and 50 wanderers in assault shuttles, heading straight for the hive ship. Led the way, his rifle charged with wanderer energy cells that could actually hurt the devourers. They crashed through the hive ship's outer hull and into hell. The inside of the ship was like being inside a living crystal, all sharp edges and strange geometry. The devourers swarmed them, but the combined force fought back with fury. Saw a wanderer warrior fighting 3 devourers at once. When one was about to strike from behind, shot it. When another devourer nearly took its head off, crushed it with their bare hands. They fought deeper into the ship, losing people on both sides. When they reached the core, planted the explosive while his team held the line. 3 wanderers threw themselves at a wave of devourers, giving the humans time to finish the setup. "Go," shouted, "everybody out now." They ran, dragging the wounded, covering each other's retreat. Stopped at a junction, looking back. 3 wanderers were still fighting, holding off dozens of devourers. They couldn't retreat without being overwhelmed. "Commander, we have to go," a Marine shouted. Started back toward them. "We don't leave people behind." One of the wanderers called. It was, "Go, live, tell our children we were brave." The explosion timer hit 10 seconds. Ran, tears streaming down his face. Behind him, 3 wanderers bought time with their lives. The hive ship exploded in a ball of purple and white fire. The shockwave knocked out half the devourer fleet. The rest, without their command ship, began to scatter. "We're winning," shouted. "They're retreating." But saw something else. One last devourer ship, damaged and dying, was heading straight for Earth on a collision course. It would hit Tokyo. It would hit the bunkers where millions hid, including a 6-year-old girl named. "Negative," said calmly. "I've got this." "What are you doing?" Minu demanded. "Something crazy," replied. He pushed his hybrid fighter to maximum speed, heading straight for the devourer ship. "Tell my mom I love her." He aimed for the enemy ship's power core, visible through the cracks in its hull. One shot, perfect and true. Then he was inside the explosion, everything white light and fire. Wanderer ships surrounded him at the last second, their shields combining to create a pocket of safety. They dragged his fighter clear, battered but intact. "I thought I was dead," whispered. "Not today," Crazy Human said. "We need you alive." The battle ended. Earth survived. Of the 47 human ships, 23 remained. Of the 3 Wanderer vessels, all 3 survived but badly damaged. The devourers were gone, driven away or destroyed. In the aftermath, stood before a monument to the fallen. 3 Wanderer names were carved at the top, the first to give their lives for humanity. He touched each name and whispered, "I'll tell them, I promise. I'll tell everyone how brave you were." Earth was saved, but the war was far from over. Across 12 star systems, human colonies remained under devourer occupation. Mars, Europa, New Sol and dozens more waited for liberation or death. In a laboratory on the rebuilt Defiant Hope, worked with materials that shouldn't exist. He was a scientist, 41 years old, who had spent his entire career studying alien technology. Now he had access to Wanderer knowledge, and his mind was on fire with possibilities. "This is incredible," he said to his Wanderer colleague. They stood over a workbench covered in prototype weapons. Your energy manipulation technology combined with our manufacturing processes. We can produce these in weeks instead of years. His dark eyes widened. That's impossible. These weapons took us centuries to perfect. You perfected them, said with a grin. You did all the hard work. We're just copying your homework and printing it faster. He gestured to the manufacturing plans on his screen. Humans are really good at making lots of things quickly. We had to be. We didn't have time for slow and careful. Within a month, human factories across Earth were producing hybrid weapons. Wanderer shield generators rolled off assembly lines in Detroit. Energy weapons were manufactured in Seoul, Mumbai, and what had taken the Wanderers centuries to develop, humans and mass-produced in weeks. Your species is terrifying, said, watching the production numbers. You turn everything into a factory. We prefer efficient, replied. Now let's see about those shield modifications you mentioned. While factories hummed, diplomacy moved forward. Was humanity's representative to what remained of the Galactic Council? She was 55 years old, a career diplomat who had watched the Council abandon Earth. Now she stood before them again, but this time she wasn't begging. The Devourers are retreating from human space, she announced to the assembled aliens. With Wanderer assistance, we have taken back 4 colonies and destroyed 70 Devourer vessels. The Council members, representatives of 12 species who had refused to help Earth, shifted uncomfortably. This is unexpected, said the ambassador, their translator voice cold and mechanical. We calculated a 98% probability of human extinction. You calculated wrong, said simply. But more importantly, we're here to offer an alliance. The Devourers won't stop with humanity. They'll come for you next. Stand with us now and we face them together. Or stand aside again, and when they come for your worlds, we'll remember who our friends were. It wasn't a threat, it was a promise. The ambassador hesitated. The Wanderers chose you. Why? Because we didn't surrender, said. Because we fought even when we knew we'd lose. Because courage matters more than technology and determination matters more than numbers. She placed a document on the table. This is the Blood Covenant, an alliance between humanity and the Wanderers, bound by shared sacrifice and mutual respect. We offer the same to you. Join us or get out of our way. 3 species joined the alliance that day. 5 more would join within the year, once they saw what humans and Wanderers could accomplish together. On Mars, didn't know about diplomatic victories. He was a farmer who had become a resistance leader because someone had to. Mars had been under Devourer occupation for 2 months, and every day was a fight for survival. His resistance force was 200 people, farmers and miners and teachers, armed with Wanderer weapons smuggled through Devourer lines. They hid in the Vols, the massive canyon system, and launched hit-and-run attacks. They're coming, his second-in-command, Bora, whispered. She was 19 years old and had killed 17 Devourers, 20 of them heading for the shelter. 20, repeated. His people were hidden in an old mining complex, 300 civilians including children. We have 12 fighters ready, not good odds. When have we ever had good odds? Bora asked with a grim smile. They set the ambush in a narrow canyon. When the Devourers entered, fighters opened fire from above. The Wanderer energy weapons tore through crystalline armor, but the Devourers were fast and deadly. They climbed the canyon walls, reaching for the humans. Shot one off the wall above him. Fall back, get to the secondary position. They fought and retreated, leading the Devourers into deeper traps. They lost 5 fighters that day, but they saved 300 civilians. It was a victory barely. That night received a message through their hidden transmitter. Hold on, the fleet is coming. 75 days. 75 days, looked at his people exhausted and wounded but still alive. We hold, he said. Whatever it takes, we hold. They held for 90 days. When the combined fleet finally arrived at Mars, force was down to 30 fighters defending 2,000 civilians. They had used every trick, every trap, every desperate tactic they could imagine. They had held because surrender meant death, and humans didn't know how to quit. Led the Liberation Force personally. When he found in the ruins of the shelter, the old farmer was still holding a rifle, still ready to fight. "You're late," said with a tired grin. "Sorry," replied. "Traffic was hell." He helped to his feet. "You held for 90 days with farmers and miners against an alien invasion. You're either the bravest man alive or the craziest." "Why not both?" asked. Colony by colony, system by system, the combined fleet took back human space. Each liberation was paid for in blood, human and wanderer both. But they kept pushing forward, kept fighting, kept winning. In the command center of the Eternal Dawn, the Elder studied the tactical map with Minu. The map showed their progress. 60% of human colonies liberated. The Devourer fleet reduced by half. The war was turning. "We're winning," Minu said, almost unable to believe it. "We are pushing them back," the Elder corrected. "But they will not stop until we end them completely. We must find their origin world, their home. We must destroy them there, or they will simply rebuild and return." "You know where it is?" Minu asked. The Elder nodded slowly. "We have known for 10,000 years. We were too afraid to go there, but with humans beside us." He pulled up a star map, showing a system at the edge of known space. "There, that is where they come from. That is where this ends." Arrived at that moment with news. 8 more species have joined the Alliance. The Galactic Council is reforming around us instead of against us. They see what we're doing and they want to be part of it. "Good," Minu said, "because we're going to need everyone." He pointed to the Devourer home system. "We end this. We gather every ship, every weapon, every warrior. We take the fight to them. We show them what happens when you attack Earth. We show them what happens when you make humans angry." The Elder placed his hand on Minu's shoulder, a gesture of trust and friendship. "We show them what happens when 2 species become one family, when strangers become brothers, when fear becomes courage." "When do we leave?" asked. 2 months, Minu said. 2 months to prepare. Then we jump into the heart of darkness and we don't come back until the Devourers are extinct." Across the fleet, human and wanderer alike, the word spread. The final battle was coming. The war that had nearly destroyed humanity would end where it began, at the Devourer home world. They would go together, fight together, and win together. Or they would die together, as one people, as one family, as one force that had dared to fight back against the darkness. 500 years had passed since that day when 3 ancient ships appeared to save humanity. 500 years since strangers became family. The universe was very different now. On Luna, facing Earth, stood the Wall of Stars. It was a monument 5 kilometers long, carved from white stone and holographic light. Every name of every person, human and wanderer, who had fallen in the war was inscribed there. At the top, in letters of light that could be seen from Earth, was the inscription that started it all. They helped humanity in its darkest hour. Now they live forever in Terran legend. Professor led his class of students to the wall. The students were young, some human, some wanderer descendants, some mixed heritage with features of both species. They chattered and laughed, living in a time of peace they could barely imagine had been fought for. "Settle down," said gently. He was wanderer human himself, 3rd generation, with his father's dark eyes and his mother's determination. "Today we learn about the founding war. Today we learn about courage." The students quieted, sensing the importance in his voice. 500 years ago, Earth was dying, began. He activated the holographic display built into the wall. Images appeared, showing the burning sky, the desperate fleet, the moment when hope seemed lost. The Galactic Council had abandoned us. The Devourers had won. Humanity had 3 days left, maybe less. A young human girl, no more than 10, raised her hand. But we didn't die. No, said with a smile. We didn't die, because 3 ships came. 3 ships crewed by people who had been running for 10,000 years. They saw humanity fighting impossible odds, and they remembered what courage looked like. They remembered what it meant to stand against the darkness. He touched the wall, and 3 names appeared in light. These 3 were the first to give their lives for humanity. They didn't have to. We weren't their people. Earth wasn't their home. But they sacrificed everything so that a 6-year-old girl named could live to grow up and have children of her own. Another student, a wanderer descendant with silver-blue skin, spoke up. My great-great-grandmother was on the Eternal Dawn. She was only 15 when the war started. Many were young, agreed. Many were old, many were scared, but they fought anyway. Come, let me show you something special. He led them along the wall to a section showing a list of ship names. These are the vessels of the current Terran defense fleet. Notice anything. The students studied the names: Defiant Hope, Eternal Dawn, Pride, Courage, Sacrifice, hundreds of names, each honoring someone who had fought in those desperate days. Every ship in our fleet carries the name of a hero, explained. Human or wanderer, it doesn't matter. They're all our heroes now. They walked to another section showing images of the heroes themselves. Captain Minu, now ancient history, his face stern but kind. Commander, forever young in the pictures, forever remembered for his promise to tell the fallen they were brave. Doctor, who had founded the first medical academy. Pilot, whose impossible flight was required study for every pilot cadet. Flew into an explosion to save Earth, said, pointing to a statue. The Wanderer saved him because they needed him alive. He lived to be 93 years old and flew his last mission at age 90. When reporters asked him why he risked so much that day, he said, because people needed me to. That's what a hero is, someone who does what needs to be done. A boy pointed to another statue. Who's that? That's, said, he was a farmer on Mars who became a resistance leader. He held out for 90 days with farmers and miners against an alien invasion. When asked how he did it, he said, "We held because we had no choice. Surrender meant death and we weren't ready to die." Simple words, powerful truth. They moved to a special section, set apart from the others. Here were the names of the 3 wanderers who died in the hive ship, who bought time with their lives so others could escape. Fresh flowers lay at the base, placed there every day by volunteers. These 3 have temples on Earth, said quietly. The shrine of the first sacrifice. People still visit to honor them, to remember that courage comes in many forms from many places. A girl with mixed heritage, human features with hints of wanderer silver in her skin, touched the wall gently. Is it true they were stranger to us, that they had no reason to help? Yes, said, but that's what makes it matter. They helped us not because they had to, but because it was right. They taught humanity the most important lesson, that courage isn't fearlessness. Courage is doing what's right when everything says you should run. Courage is standing with others when standing alone would be safer. He activated another display showing the final battle at the Devourer home world. It had been a nightmare of fire and death, lasting 6 months. The combined fleet had lost thousands of ships and millions of warriors, but they had won. The Devourers were extinct, their threat ended forever. The war cost us much, said, but it gave us something priceless, it gave us unity. Before the Devourers came, humans and wanderers were separate. Now we are one people. You students, you are the proof. Some of you are human, some are wanderer descendants, some are both, but you're all Terran, you all carry the legacy of those who fought. He brought up the final image, the moment that historians called the joining. It showed Captain Minu and the Elder, old and signing the final treaty that merged humanity and the Wanderers into one civilization. The caption beneath read, "Two species became one family. Strangers became brothers. The Terran Union was born." The Elder lived to be over 11,000 years old, said, Minyu lived to 97. They remained friends until Minyu's death. The elder spoke at his funeral. He said, "This human taught me that courage isn't something you're born with. It's something you choose every day in every moment. Humanity chose courage when they had every reason to choose fear. They saved me before I saved them." The students were silent, absorbing the stories, feeling the weight of history. "Why do we learn this?" the young girl asked. "The war was 500 years ago. The devourers are gone. Why does it matter now?" Knelt down to her level. Because legends never die. Because the courage they showed isn't just history. It's a guide. It's a promise. When you face impossible odds, when you want to give up, when everything seems too hard, you remember them. You remember that ordinary people, farmers and engineers and pilots and doctors, stood against the darkness and won. You remember that strangers from across the stars chose to fight beside us. You remember that courage is a choice. He stood and addressed all the students. "You will face challenges in your lives. Maybe not war, hopefully not, but challenges nonetheless. When you do, remember these names. Remember these faces. Remember that courage comes in many forms. It's the scientist working late to solve a problem. It's the doctor who won't give up on a patient. It's the farmer who holds the line. It's the stranger who becomes family." They stood before the wall of stars as the sun set, casting long shadows across the names. Each name was a story. Each story was a lesson. Each lesson was a gift from the past to the future. "They helped humanity in its darkest hour," said, reading the inscription aloud. "Now they live forever in Terran legend, not just in stone and light, but in us, in our choices, in our courage, in our refusal to surrender when things are hard. That is the true monument. That is the true memorial. Living the way they lived, with courage and hope and the stubborn determination to make tomorrow better than today." As the students filed away, talking excitedly about the stories, one remained, the girl with mixed heritage. She placed her hand on the wall, on the names of the first three who fell. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you for giving us tomorrow." High above, in orbit, the Terran Defense Fleet maintained its watch. Hundreds of ships with names like Defiant Hope the 7th, Pride, Eternal Dawn the 15th. Each generation built new ships and gave them old names, keeping the legacy alive. On Earth, children played in parks that had once been battlefields. On Mars, farms grew where had made his stand. On the Wanderer home system, now called New Beginning, the last three original ships sat in museums, preserved forever. And everywhere, in schools and homes and public squares, people told the stories. They spoke of Captain Minyu's courage, of the elder's wisdom, of's promise, of's compassion, of's daring, of's determination. They spoke of three wanderers who gave everything for people they had just met. The stories lived, the legends grew, and in living and growing, they shaped each new generation into people worthy of the legacy. 500 years after strangers became family, after courage defeated fear, after two species became one, the promise endured. Not carved in stone or written in light, but alive in the hearts of every person who chose courage over fear, who chose hope over despair, who chose to stand when standing seemed impossible. They helped humanity in its darkest hour, and humanity never forgot.